YouTube, how we doing? Past the prop, back here yet again. We're gonna have a quick show talking about some of the action this weekend. Join as always, Stu. How you doing, man?
Doing good, can't complain. Still in the holiday spirit a little bit over here, rocking the red. And yeah, I'm excited. We got some good games this weekend. We obviously had a pretty awful Christmas slate, kind of almost like I don't know if you could intentionally write up like a worse slate of like quarterbacks, right? We had three, not just backup quarterbacks, third string quarterbacks, like guys that the general public has never heard of before. So that was kind of funny. The games turned out a little bit better than expected, a little bit more competitive, but yeah, ready for a real slate of weekend games,
Yeah, it was tough, man. The first game was good. Washington put up a fight. That's exactly what you wanted, show face, not anything too crazy and still lose. So that's the way you want it. I picked up Bill the morning of, right after Rodriguez, and started him in a fucking last place, so I don't have the punishment. And I had Dak, him, and Ferguson. Of course, fucking Ferguson catches first touchdown and gets hurt. And I'm just like sitting there like, are we going to do this really? And then Bill broke off that 70-yarder and kind of saved the day there. So, hey, shout out Dak yet again. I had another cash with him and CD. That dude is a fucking wizard, man. If we would have had a show on Wednesday, you know I was betting there. So hopefully you guys were able to make some money off him because that guy just continues to print.
Yeah, I benched him in fantasy, so I'm hoping Drake May scores more than 30-something points.
Because that 80-yard touchdown was big, dude. That was fucking nuts. But yeah, I think he went for 320 or 310, something like that. So we ended up getting that, which was awesome. And hopefully we can keep this lead. I need him to play last week of the year. I don't even know who they play. I didn't even look, but I need him to get it. Give me at least 250. Give me a fighting chance at that long shot. Because obviously Stafford was up by like 20 yards on him before that game yesterday. So I know Stafford has two games. I don't even know like what the shitty part is San Francisco and them, like that game's going to decide most of it unless the Rams lose this week. So I'm like, all right, well, hopefully they lose and then they're locked into that spot because I think the only spot open is the NFC South division winner. For things that can really move outside of I think all of those are, I think everybody's clinched but that 4 seed, right? So the Packers really can't move anywhere. I don't know what they're going to do these next 2 weeks. And the Rams, Seattle, that one can move, obviously. But if either of them, if the Rams lose, then they're going to be locked into that spot. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens this time of year. You got all these little kind of smaller factors you got to watch out for. And we're almost at playoff time. We're almost at the big ones,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's anything else you want to talk about from games yesterday? Obviously, that Chiefs game was horrible. I still don't like that Broncos offense. Jesus Christ. Of course, I'm playing RJ Harvey. And he catches some fucking touchdown in the end. I'm like, dude, just run that fucker in, Bo Nix. Really, dude? We're really going to do this? Or just kick the damn field goal. Just fucking waste the entire clock out. And then we didn't have to deal with that shit. But I'm sure a lot of people did well with it.
Yeah, I didn't really watch the middle game at all, which is, I guess, good because apparently the Lions just, really choked to end the year. So kind of glad I missed that one.
Horrible, dude.
And then the late game, I caught a little bit of it. Yeah, I think the question in the chat about Broncos looking bad, are they a first-round exit? I think that's a fair question. We've kind of talked about it before. I feel like the Broncos can kind of play up and play down to a lot of different teams, and there aren't a lot of, clear separators. Who's really standing out from the pack right now in the NFL? I feel like especially on that side of the bracket. So I think the Broncos are live. It just depends on the matchup. But I'm obviously not a Bo Nix guy. I've never been a Bo Nix guy. I think he's kind of almost their Jared Goff a little bit, a little bit of a limiting factor at the end of the day. He can kind of raise the floor a little bit higher, but I'm curious how he'll look in a playoff environment. So I'm not running to the window to back the Broncos, but I do think that they can give some good teams a run for their money with that defense at the end of the day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's yeah, obviously we'll talk about the Jags in here. I know Stu's on them as well. They got that Colts one, right? the Colts matchup there. So that should be a big one. But let's talk about a quick recap here, Stu, and then we'll start talking the games. Obviously, like I said, I'll be a little bit quicker today. For me, at least, I can start out. D Winters, I think he had like 4 tackles. And of course, he does the biggest play of the game, but it's not a fucking tackle. It's a fucking pick six. Fucking picks off Rivers. It didn't help that they didn't complete that many underneath, as many as I thought at least. They were all incompletions. When he was guarding the guys, they were all incompletions. I'm like, those are the ones you just got to hit those, and those are the free tackles, all right? Those are the free ones. You just fall on top of them, and we're good. But yeah, so Winners did not get there plus money. Luckily, we only lose 1 unit, and the other one here too.
Yeah, I mean, had the game script, had everything I was hoping for, 9 targets, but ended up with 3 catches, unfortunately. Even freaking, what's his name? The backups, Moali Cox and like Ogletree had like 3 catches or something. But yeah, no dice with Tyler Warren. Pretty unfortunate. Like I said, game script was good. 49ers were taking care of business, but just the guy was wide open all the time. But Phillip Rivers was feeling Josh Downs today or on Thursday.
Yeah, I know. I saw he was doing most of the work there, so it wasn't even too much for others people to go around here. Let's start talking this week. We got a huge slate. Obviously, we can talk about Saturday. We won't talk Monday, right? Because we do have a Monday night game with the I believe it's Falcons Rams on Monday night. So it should be a good football game there. I'm sure a lot of people will be waiting for that for fantasy purposes. That's a great game for fantasy. But let's talk this week. So update on the record is 48-37 at 17 units. Stu, what is the best game? What is the game you will be paying attention to the most this week?
I mean, I'm kind of hyped for both Saturday games, honestly, just from that slate. Obviously, I'm kind of curious about that Ravens-Packers one, but honestly, early Houston Chargers does give some kind of playoff vibes, like what we've been talking about all year long with the Chargers and their offensive line, and how are they really going to be able to survive in the playoffs? And then you get a Texans team who obviously can take advantage of that, maybe better than almost any other team in football. But hey, the Texans still have their offense to worry about because, you never really know what you're going to get with those guys. So I'm pretty hyped for that game, honestly. That's probably going to be, even though it's a solo game, it'll obviously be a big screen game, but that's the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah, I won't pick my team in this spot. I think, I don't know, man. I wish Daniel Jones was playing this week. But if I had to pick a game that I'm going to be watching closely, it's going to be that Bengals game, bro. It's going to be that Bengals Cardinals game. Both teams eliminated. What's going to happen, right? Like, what are these guys going to do? Obviously, I expect Brissett to play the whole game. I don't really even know who their backup is, if they even have a young guy there. Because I think Kyler just got benched. I don't even think he's fine now, but he's just a backup. And then obviously you got a lot of big fantasy guys in those as well for the championship with, Jamar Chase on one side, Burrow. I benched Burrow for Dak, so I'm hoping this doesn't come back and bite me with Burrow putting up his 304 touchdowns last week. So I think that's a good big game, a 53.5 total as well. So I'm excited to pay attention to that.
Yeah, that's definitely a game. I mean, I don't know if that's a more for me an ESPN kind of game. You check the box score a couple times. Oh, Michael Carter just had a 25-yard run. Nice, and keep it pushing. But that's fair. I mean, if Burrow is trying, he's going to be probably throwing for 300 yards in that game.
At least, yeah. And that's the thing is, if I was going to pick one that was like, I almost would want the only one that I like in there that I think is going to be kind of important is obviously the Steelers needing to continue to win, but they're playing the Browns with a 36 total. Fuck, I'd rather watch 2 dudes sling it than watch Dylan Sampson run into a wall the entire game, because that dude's going to probably get 40 carries in this game.
Yeah, I'm curious if they have any lines for him, actually. I like his receiving, but I don't think he's going to do anything on the ground. Yeah, no lines right now.
Yeah, and I have him as an option too to fucking stream in fantasy too, because obviously I had too many injuries this year. But let's talk some dogs too. We'll talk some dogs and get right into some props here. What are you thinking, Stu? We got some decent dogs on the slate here this week. Where are you leaning?
Yeah, no, there are some good dogs. I'm just going to go to the game I just talked about. I like the Texans at +2.
So would
I
we be
think
doing money line there with that being too low of a line?
it's too low.
Yeah, it's only +110.
I
I'm
mean,
seeing
we
one
can.
and a half on here.
I mean, I bet 2.5. Right, it's 2.5 right now in a couple bucks. You can get 2.5 -115 on FanDuel right now. That's pretty solid.
Okay, we'll go 2.5 then, because I'm on DraftKings. It's 1.5 right now.
Yeah, no, I've picked it up in front of me. You can get that on FanDuel. And I'm taking the -115. Like I said, I think with a low scoring game like this, I'd rather take the spread than the money line. I think they can win this. I think they will win this. I think when you talk about units that can break a game in the NFL, I mean, I think the Texans defense has probably got to be one of the first ones you think of. And obviously, we can look at a clear weakness on the Chargers side of the ball, which is their offensive line. So at the end of the day, I think that's kind of simple. Do I trust their offense? No. But CJ did come out firing in those first couple games, just had a bit of a down game there recently, but I think they're going to keep it competitive throughout the whole game, and I think they're going to win this game outright. So I'll take the points. I think, the Chargers play a lot of field goal games. The Texans play a lot of field goal games. I think it could come down to the end, so I'd rather just get a couple points there.
Yeah, I actually, I'm kind of looking at some of those auxiliary receivers for the Texans. I have a feeling that the Chargers might just sell out to stop Nico because it's really, really rough, dude. The rest of that receiving core. I mean, obviously, it's some upside down the road, but we saw last week when Nico was completely shut down for like 2 quarters, Texans could not move the ball. Like they just could not do it. So I'm curious what they do. Obviously, you have Derwin James there, right? You got some guys in that secondary that can, make something happen here. So I might look at some of those auxiliary receivers because I know Stroud will probably still try to force it in double coverage, but might have to look at his interception prop here too, because I feel like those double cover throws to Nico can only work so often because that back shoulder one that he threw to win the game last week, like 1 inch either way, it's a pick, bro. Like it's like thrown into double cover just because Nico's down there somewhere, right? So I don't know. I think I might find a way to look at some of those guys.
Yeah, I like Higgins. He's been playing pretty good. That's just next man up. Kirk as well had a good game finally last week, so I like that logic as well.
I'm going to be going with Arizona at +7.5. Anytime they're over a touchdown, right? Because I think that when you got Brissett just slinging the ball 50 times in a game, I mean, not hyper efficient lately. I think since his everybody's saying he should have been starting the whole year, and he went for those like 4 300-yard games in a row. Starting to come back down to earth a little bit, right? Starting to kind of get figured out, but obviously the guy I'm betting on here is going to be pretty important in that one. I'll talk about him here in a second, but heavily reliant on just chucking that ball around the field. They don't run the ball enough, to be honest. I think I'm going to have to bench Michael Carter, even though this is a phenomenal matchup, because my God, dude, they just don't run the ball. They just like, all right, we're just going to chuck it and hope something happens here. But for fantasy, that's not a bad thing. So, yeah, I'm going to go with 7.5 just because if it was under 1 score, yeah, no thanks. But this is definitely a good spot for me to want to attack here.
I like it. I mean, Brissett, I think you kind of nailed it. Like, I think people overrated him a little bit. I still think from a fantasy perspective, he's awesome. But like a real life perspective, they're not like winning these games. But you know what? Good teams win, great teams cover. And that's really what matters. And he keeps it close. He fights you even till the last second in garbage time, and he's going to try to cover that game. So I agree with you. Anything over 7 points, especially in a team that doesn't really have anything to play for, they're just kind of like even like incentives, or it's not like Higgins and Chase need to get paid. Those guys are, paid already. Burrow's paid. Like, I guess Chase Brown is fighting for my fantasy championship, but that's about it. So, yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a close game.
Awesome. We will move on here to our bets. It's time to get rolling here, Stu. It's time to get rolling here. So, I mean, it's tough because the 239 totals, I think there's lower totals than that, ain't there? I think the Browns game's lower than that.
Browns, yeah.
But that's the thing, though, is like I think they've been horrible at their primetime games, at like picking the primetime games, because obviously both games tomorrow are 39s, but like you have a 39 in the Tennessee Saints game. The Browns is a 34. So it's like they put two games that they thought would be pretty good, in that spot. But now you might have no Lamar Jackson. I don't even know who's playing quarterback for the Packers here in this one. So they said both were limited and they're both questionable. I don't know now that they're locked in. I don't know if they're gonna play Willis a little bit more because he's been fucking awesome in that spot. So they don't. Yeah. That's why I said I don't think it's going to matter for them. It doesn't matter anymore. But that's what makes it tough for those defensive props now, too. You got to play the teams that actually are going to play the guys 100%. So, all right, Stu, you ready to get to some bets?
Ready.
All right, let's kick it to you first.
Sounds good. We're going to my boy Jawan Johnson, over 42.5 receiving yards. I played him last week, and I'm going right back to the well. The logic is pretty simple here. One, Vele was like clearly the number 2 target on that passing offense. Like him and Shuck had actually a pretty good chemistry, it looked like, to the point where I think he was kind of stealing from everybody. And then he got hurt. He's on IR. He's gone for the rest of the year. We've had a 1-game sample size of that. And obviously Jawan Johnson had a fantastic game last week. The other big thing is the running game as well, right? Devin Neal was their 3rd string running back already. He's a rookie, right? He wasn't even in the plans this year. They had Kendre Miller. They had a bunch of guys, Kamara, all go down. And now he's down. And now we're on, Estime, Hall, these random kind of irrelevant players, right? And this is a team that was never really able to run the ball all year long, right? And now with this kind of group of outcasts that they have right now, they're still not really able to run the ball very well. And when you look at the other side of this, when you look at the matchup against the Titans, what's their one strength? It's Jeffrey Simmons. It's the interior defensive line. It's their ability to stop the run. Teams that play them have the highest pass rate over expectation out of any team in football this year because it's kind of simple. Simmons good, defensive line good, everyone else bad. So what are we going to do? We're going to target everybody else. What does that mean? More passing volume. And hey, guess what? When you look at the Saints and when you look at Shuck and you think about Kellen Moore, these offenses are full of high pass volume, high pace, no huddle. We're getting up to the line of scrimmage quickly, and we're going to make the defenses tired. We're going to run a ton of plays. I believe they're 2nd in the league in pace right now. And yeah, if we're going to get more passing opportunities, it's going to be more chances for a guy like Jawan Johnson to establish himself. And obviously, Olave is like the number 1. He's the clear, alpha in this offense. But I think Jawan Johnson is literally the number 2 target, like in general, right? And Shuck is lined at around 220 passing yards in a clear pass funnel matchup. Like someone has to get those other 120 yards, even if Olave has a nice game. And Jawan Johnson clearly number 2 in target share. Their wide receiver 3 is tipped in. They're okay. They're good enough. They're going to be out there getting some cardio in. But Johnson has good chemistry with Shuck. They were obviously college teammates. If you read in the media, they've been having like weekly meetings to work on their chemistry and watch film together. Like it looks like they're pretty good buddies. So Johnson has some contract incentives to end the year as well. That could be a nice little thing in the back of your head. But at the end of the day, number 2 option in a pass funnel. We've seen tight ends have success in the matchup all year long. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of Shuck to kind of keep the good vibes going, end of the year strong. He's trying to win Rookie of the Year as well. I mean, that's obviously in play. He's 2nd in the odds right now. And honestly, with how bad everyone else has been, I mean, I would be somewhat inclined to give it to him if he could continue to end the season strong. So let's just keep feeding targets to the tight end. Let's keep getting Jawan Johnson these nice games. I would have this line closer to 50. I think it's honestly a little bit underrated for the guy that's, I mean, literally the 2nd option.
Who's in first right now?
It's Tet, I believe.
Tet?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just sucks they keep winning, dude. They keep winning. But that's a great transition to them not winning, which is my bet for them not to win. And Tet in Carolina to not win against Seattle this week. Damn, that was a pretty good transition. I didn't plan that, but it was pretty good. If I do say so myself, for just randomly happening. But I'm gonna be rolling with my boy Trey McBride along with Seattle Seahawks money line at -109. This is on DraftKings. If anybody wants to line shop that for me, I'd appreciate that. I did not. I've just been using DraftKings for all the stuff for the show today. But yeah, I mean, McBride has the best matchup in fantasy football. I mean, could you ask for a better script? That Trey McBride makes it probably on most of the fantasy championship teams, and then gets to have the best matchup of the year, right? Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals, the worst team against tight ends by a significant margin. They've been allowing 90 yards per game to tight ends, 14 fantasy points to tight ends, and now you play the best. I think I looked at it. It's like if you combine the fourth, fifth, and sixth tight end this year, they wouldn't. I don't even know if they would equal the amount of fantasy points that Trey McBride has. That's how good this dude's been this year. I think he's at like 275 or something, 280 now after last week in fantasy points. This dude's been an absolute monster, and I just don't know how they slow him down, especially when you have a guy like Jacoby Brissett. Like, I could see a game where Jacoby Brissett has like 250, one touchdown, has like 15 fantasy points, and Trey McBride doubles him. You know, I could see like that type of game happening here, especially if we have no Marvin Harrison out there. I'm looking at Brissett's lines right now, and his completion line is just through the roof. 25.5 at +120. You should see a ton of passing as well, which, you know, allows obviously these games to elongate a little bit, you know, when you have 25 completions on each side. And I didn't even look at attempts, but I'm assuming they're pretty damn high too. Pass attempts is 38 and 36 for these two quarterbacks. So should see this ball getting chucked around the yard here. So McBride is probably my favorite guy this week. For me, and, you know, DFS for pay up options, just because it's tight end is such a hard position to fill. And then you got Seattle. Seattle on the road has been so good, dude. They've been absolutely lights out on the road. I believe one of the only losses they had was against the Rams on that last second field goal that they missed in that spot. I think Seattle just absolutely smokes these dudes. I don't know how, outside of a defensive touchdown, Carolina wins, because if the Rico Dowdle train is kind of fallen off, right? They haven't been giving him as many opportunities there. Then you have, you know, a clear number one receiver in Ted McMillan. Well, I mean, the corners on the other side ain't bad, and they have to win. Seattle knows they have to win. Like, this isn't a team that, you know, could lay an egg because they don't care, right? So I think that, on top of the fact that every spot, I'll use that one because I didn't line shop there, but every spot that Carolina can usually beat teams, Seattle is better than them at every spot defensively here. So I just don't see how they move the ball. I don't see how they punch it in. Even if they get down the field, I don't see them scoring in the red zone against this team, because it's usually just been the Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard run it and make something happen. I don't see that working here against the Seattle front, who should be playing with a chip on their shoulder trying to keep that one seed. So I think this is an absolute – I think they smoke them. And I think Carolina, Tampa, do they play next week? Is that what it is? I think so. I mean, it's a look-ahead spot, right? I mean, it's because it doesn't – like, truly in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter unless Tampa Bay loses again this week and they're up 2 games and they're locked in. So I think this is a game where you're obviously looking a little bit as Carolina to next week as well, because this is a tough spot, man. You're just trying to come out of this game healthy, because Seattle is very, very physical, and I just don't see the way that Carolina keeps up with them.
I agree. I like the Seahawks side in that one. Obviously, I don't see a lot of paths to victory. I was not impressed with the Panthers last week at all in a high leverage game. And as for McBride, I mean, my thoughts are kind of simple. When I opened up, you know, the DraftKings on Monday or Tuesday, I looked at the slate. My first comment in Discord was that McBride might have the highest tight end receiving yards of all time. And then I was speculating they might open it at 100, because it is the best tight end. I mean, at least in terms of receiving, against the worst modern tight end defense. Not even like this year, like the last 5 years. Like, they are one of the worst tight end defenses we've seen in a while. And yeah, it should be a good opportunity for McBride to do whatever he wants, because it's not like they haven't been expecting it all year long. They've been thrashed by tight ends, and they just haven't really been able to stop it. So yeah, I like the matchup a lot. I like the combo at plus money as well.
Yeah, India got rid of your Stu's favorite player, Logan Wilson, too. So like that obviously puts a big hole in their defense. You get rid of a guy that is that elite defensively.
Oh yeah, yeah. As the Cowboys know, when they were promptly eliminated from the playoffs as soon as they acquired him. You know what a great addition to the linebacker room.
Yeah, hey, as long as it gets Dak to throw more passes, that's all we want. That's all we want on that side of the ball. So, the Tet versus Shuck stuff. I'm just reading down the chat here. I'll have some action on McBride since I see him. Oh yeah. If you're playing against him, you might as well make some money on him on the other side. I wouldn't play Jacobs that much just because he's been in and out of practice for the last 3 weeks. No chance I'm touching Josh Jacobs this week. I would like to see fucking tackle props. Give me my Roquan tackle prop at 8.5, dude. Fuck, that might. Emmanuel Wilson might get 30 carries, bro. If they ain't got a quarterback, I don't know. I think they definitely.
Would not be surprised. They've done it before. I mean, they'll feed him. They'll feed whoever's back there.
Yeah, even Chris Brooks too. So, yeah, let's do a quick recap here, Stu, and then we'll pop out of here. 101 of you guys here in the chat. We appreciate you guys joining us on the day after Christmas. Stu, I'll let you start it off.
Sounds good. We got Jawan Johnson over 42.5 receiving yards. Caesars, DraftKings, MGM, all those. And yeah, it played up to like 44, 45.5.
Awesome. I'll be rolling with Trey McBride, 60 receiving yards with Seattle money line at plus 105. Yeah, should be exciting. Ready to get this thing going. So, Stu, anything else from you? Heading into the weekend, obviously games tomorrow. We've got our dog picks out. Should everything else be ready to go?
Yeah, no, I mean, not much really. Excited for the slate, obviously. I did just scrolling through long shots. I don't see anything amazing, but we were just kind of talking about it. I kind of like Bryce Young rushing touchdown at 11-1. I think he's going to be running for his life. I don't think there's going to be a lot of touchdown opportunities, which is why the price is so good. But it's like 600 last week. So that's my one little thing. He's been running a little bit more. So over 10-1 is kind of nice for Bryce Young rushing touchdown.
Yeah, and I know that it only offers on DK, but me probably playing Roquan ladder tackles if I can. And I like that Schlesinger dude from fucking Cleveland, dude. They're pushing him hard to get that defensive rookie of the year, like really hard. Like their social media talking about it. And honestly, if he didn't miss those, I think he missed like 2 or 3 games. And he's still right up at the top of like every category for defensive rookies here. So I think that's a spot too as well against the Pittsburgh team that we just talked about last week. It's just automatic for these props. I think that this is a great spot to kind of ladder those if you have DraftKings available to you. But of course, I don't even have Roquans. I would have probably played Roquan on the show here too against my Packers here in that downhill. Let Roquan pick a lane and just take out every single running back that comes through. So they don't have anything up for that, but I definitely like both of those guys this week for tackle props, especially Schlesinger. I think that's a great spot for him.
I agree.
But can't pick them if they don't offer anything for you. So we will have to wait and see. But yeah, I hope you guys all had a Merry Christmas. Obviously, we might see you guys before the new year. There on Monday. It's just this is so messing me up. Just it's a full week in between like Christmas and the New Year, so it's like you don't really have a ton of stuff to do on those days. But yeah, should be good. So we will see you guys on Monday. Back at it, ready to roll. And if you guys could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We will see you guys Monday and hopefully have a couple winning bets for you guys here. So have a good one, guys, and catch you Monday.